All right, Bradley. Quick question, man, before we get started, bro.
Yes, sir.
What do you think Hulk Hogan was thinking in his head when he was getting booed out that building?
Hogan didn't give a I think Hogan was just like, whatever, whatever. I mean, just based upon his track record,
Yeah,
everyone says how much of a piece of he is, how much of a liar he is. I
right.
don't think Hogan cared. The check cleared. Hogan did his due.
That's it, man. That's it. I do feel bad for Jimmy, low key, just because he's 80 years old and he's just waving that flag. But he's been around Hogan for that long. It's kind of like birds of a feather. So I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
you heard Hogan being a piece of
No doubt.
throughout the decade. So I
And
mean,
Jimmy was right there with him.
yeah,
So
catch that
yeah,
straight, Jimmy. You
no
good?
doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, and be no rerun, brothers and sisters. The revolution will be live.
All right, folks, once again, it's on. Welcome to another session of pod season, where podding is always in season. I'm Adrian. You already know it's no BS coming from me, and I'm joined by the bro, Bradley. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm excited about this episode. I'm feeling great.
Locked in as usual. Thanks for joining me. All right, today's episode, y'all, we're going to give you our thoughts, our initial thoughts and feelings on Asé Wrestling TV. They just dropped their first episode. We would highly recommend y'all check it out. But we're going to definitely give you our feelings, and we're going to deep dive in it for a little bit. But also, we got to talk about this Odyssey Jones situation that just dropped. So we got to talk about it, let you know our thoughts on that as well. So, Brad, let's go ahead and get into Odyssey Jones, man. Former WWE superstar Odyssey Jones. Well, he's broken that silence and he made a post online and he's basically saying, you know, I'm going through this legal situation, possibly going after the person who has made these allegations. And he also shouted out WWE, which was kind of classy, about thank you for
Indeed.
training me and all of that good stuff. And he ended it by just putting it out there. Hey, I'm available for booking. So I want to get back to this sport of pro wrestling that I love. You know, that was that. I've seen a couple current WWE people like commenting on it, like, you know, the little heart emojis and we're with you, brother type deal. So that's kind of reassuring, but also we got to take allegations serious, and hopefully the legal process reveals some form of truth. So
yes,
what are your thoughts on Odyssey Jones? Because you're in Orlando, so you know you've seen him in person at NXT at the Performance Center. So what are your thoughts on Odyssey Jones overall?
Overall, from what I know a couple of guys that I'm cool with and who are NXT regulars are close with Odyssey Jones. And everybody says he checks out as a good guy. So as far as that goes, some people that I would trust their word, they're saying he checks out as a good guy. I personally haven't met him nor hung with him.
Right.
So I couldn't speak on that. But I will say this.
Okay.
Not only did he sound sincere, he sounded humble. I'm glad he's taken the legal action to squeeze the people that squoze him. And pause on that. But reason being is you have to have that truth out there, especially if you are looking to one day return to WWE or go to AEW or go to TNA to get that cleared off of your name. Because anytime we have these things, it's always the court of public opinion, right?
Doubt.
It's always like, did they do it? Did they not do it? Did, said company do a thorough enough investigation? Depending on how big the star is, they swept it under the rug or, it went. So I'm glad he's taking the legal steps and process, and I'm glad he's getting back to wrestling. In the meantime, I think his name will be cleared. I think he's legit. I think he's sincere, and I think his name will be cleared.
I understand that. I feel that. Like I said, I take any kind of allegations and stuff serious. You know, any kind of abuse on anybody is definitely not good. It's not obviously not good, not kosher. So I'm gonna proceed with caution. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense. Like, I'm here to support a brother. Seek justice. If it's there, go seek it. And once you're absolved, then you got 100% full support. But it's one of those things where, you know, it sucks, but maybe this was one of these lessons that you got to learn at a certain age about who you deal with or how you treat people. Like, it's a whole bunch of lessons. It's a whole bunch of lessons that I'm sure Odyssey has learned through this. And hopefully justice prevails. No matter what side of the fence you are on when it comes to Odyssey, hopefully truth and justice prevails. And hopefully, you know, either this guy's back working at a higher rate, or we never see him again. He gets yeeted into oblivion for his actions. So either way, you know.
Yeah, most definitely. And we're not going to be naive. We know that being in relationships, sometimes arguments can get intense. Sometimes, you know, tempers flare and things of that nature. But again, where it crossed the line is where either or put their hands on one another.
For sure.
You know, the guy putting his hands on a female, or female putting her hands on a guy. Woman putting her hands on a guy. So we're going to stay tuned again. Like you said, I do think he's sincere, and I think he's doing the absolute best thing by proceeding with legal action, because that was damning to his career. This guy was really about to see an uptick in TV time, probably merchandise, action figures. So hopefully not only do he clear his name, he gets some type of compensation, because those allegations is heavy, man. They were super heavy. They were heavy. And just by him being released, it almost seemed like maybe WWE got a whiff of some kind of police report or something.
You never know.
Because typically they kind of let you hang around. But for him to get an immediate release like that, maybe he got a whiff of some type of police report.
You never know. And then, like, I mean, not to bring up all these people, but Enzo, situation very similar. Allegations start to throw around. You've already kind of rubbed some of important people the wrong way. They're like, let's go ahead and cut ties with the guy. So, you know, again, hopefully the truth comes out so that we can all realistically assess it and assess whether or not we want to support Odyssey Jones. So if you don't want to support him, shout out to you. If you want to support him, shout out to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into this Ashae discussion. Brad, like we said, folks, Ashae is a Black-owned professional wrestling company that's just celebrated 1 year. So shout out to his founder, Darius Lockhart. Yeah,
salute.
We are all for creativity, energy, and art expressed through everyone. Anyone that's creative, anyone who has a passion, we're all about it. But we're definitely about it if you're Black. Like, it's just
100%.
It is what it is over here. You know what I'm saying? So I did check out a description of the company. I did want to shortly read that for you.
Okay.
But Asé Wrestling TV will feature an entire year's worth of Asé Wrestling content, including electrifying wrestling matches, musical performances, and cultural storytelling that both explores and celebrates the global African diaspora. This groundbreaking series is designed to push boundaries, honor wrestling's rich history, and highlight the voices and artistry of Black culture, all while combating marginalization in the professional wrestling industry. That's a perfect description.
Hell of a statement.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And upon doing research prior to us recording on Brother Darius, he seems like a pretty well-read, solid dude. So I definitely want to shout out to him. Like once you start talking about, hey, I'm reading Kwame, we
Yeah.
hear. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we
you
hear.
cooking
We hear.
with fish grease.
No doubt, no doubt. So off the strength of that, I'm gonna be here with you. And you talking about bell hooks, like we need to sit down and talk not just about wrestling, but life and ideologies and these sort of things, because it is an interesting dynamic of owning a business within an industry that has marginalized
Yes.
a person that looks like you. So
Yep.
it's very interesting. But what were your initial thoughts when you heard about Ashae Wrestling, Brad?
So I have to be honest here. I heard about it before. I was seeing different things.
Yeah.
I might have even, I don't know if it was Ashae, if it was for the culture. I might have even bought some tickets one time.
Okay.
I didn't have no intent on going, but I just wanted to make sure they were getting supported. It might have been, I don't remember.
I think that was for
one.
the culture. That was through GCW, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I have heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
But to see them on YouTube in the show format, I thought it was brilliant.
Right.
It was refreshing as a wrestling fan.
So this was technically like your first real exposure to what they got
as
going
far
on.
as a full-length show, yes. As far as what they going on, I've been following them on social media and a lot of the wrestlers affiliated with it. But as soon as I clicked it on, I said, this is it. That was my initial thing. Before I even seen it in wrestling, I said, this is it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It was hitting on some cultural notes while also being authentic, which was one of my pros that we'll definitely get into. But when it comes to that promotion, they are based in North Carolina. I'll be honest, Brad, like after my wife Lois, she's a casual wrestling fan. You know what I'm saying? Like she doesn't watch it weekly. She's in wrestling groups, but not really. You know what I'm saying? When she watched this, she was locked in. And she said, hey, how do we support this? That spoke volumes to what they have going on. That spoke volumes to the presentation. So again, shout out to them for even taking this road in this path toward elevating their product, because they've been around for a year and now this next level is the television. So that's dope. Weekly television is huge for your product. We're going to go into these pros because we got pros as well as areas of improvement possibly for this product that we did watch. We're just basing this assessment off of episode 1. Maybe depending on feedback from listeners and that sort of thing, maybe we can do more of this. I know hopefully we see even more people receiving what Ashae Wrestling has to offer.
If they're here weekly, I'm here weekly. So
no doubt.
I'm with that.
So when it comes to pros and cons, Brad, we're gonna go back and forth. You put a pro out, we're gonna discuss it. If I don't agree, I'm gonna say it, and then I'm gonna put a pro out, and vice versa. That's how we're gonna do this. Because once again, folks, this is pod season, where podding is always in season, and now we're jumping into the pros of Ashae Wrestling. So, Brad, you kick us off, man.
My number one pro for it had to be, and it was in their mission statement, was honoring those in wrestling. And I felt like the main event, they really, really honored Aja Kong on that.
Shout out to the legend.
I don't want to give any spoilers, but not only was it a great match, but it was a great ending. And someone like Aja Kong deserves it, right? There's a lot of women that get celebrated throughout the years, like a Medusa, like a Miss Elizabeth, like a Wendy Richter, a lot of other women that weren't as impactful as a Aja Kong was.
Right.
So the way they celebrated her, the way she had a match, and guess what? She's been wrestling since '86 and looked damn good
That's
on
wild.
Asé Wrestling.
Yeah, that's
So
wild.
a super pro for me was the way they honored and booked Aja Khan. That was my number one super pro, like on point with that.
They honor other wrestling legends in
Yep.
part. So that makes me, being a pro wrestling fan, a black pro wrestling fan, let's just cut the shit. As a
Right.
black pro wrestling fan, it's awesome to see someone like a Mark Henry get mentioned. And,
Yep.
you know, I saw Ron Simmons was also heavily involved in certain spots of this year, this first year.
Yep.
And it encourages me to see, I wonder how many more of the OGs are supporting what they have going, supporting the vision. I even saw a mention of New Jack, rest in peace, of mentioning Darius, you know what I'm saying? Which reminded me to listen to that New Jack podcast, which I have to talk about with somebody else because that shit was off the chain, bro.
Underappreciated icon. New Jack is an underappreciated icon in professional wrestling.
For sure. So to echo your sentiment, love how they respected the legends or the people of yesteryear in black wrestling. So shout out to that. My first pro is authentically black, man. It's
Yes.
like it's truly
Yep.
like people say unapologetically black, and a lot of us mean that. When I say it, I'm absolutely meaning it. But it was authentically black. When you have the Jet cut his post-match promo,
Right,
and he's saying like, "Yo, I see y'all. I smell the cocoa butter. I smell the za." Like, you know, it's things like that. That's like, it doesn't seem forced. It doesn't seem fake. It seems very authentic. You know who you're talking to. Yes, white fans, you're more than welcome to come hang out. Absolutely. And, you know, they're putting on a good product. It should be. But y'all know who I'm talking to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something like that. Whether it's the music choices, just a presentation, a lot of elements like spoke to me as a black person and spoke to I don't want to be too deep and say the black experience or African American experience.
That's what
it was. Okay, so
it was. It felt so good.
Right,
like just seeing it, like, oh, this is something I want to be a part of. This is something I want to see grow, because you can see the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit with this. And it seems like now we as black fans and for the black wrestlers have a safe space, and we have to pour into this. That way they can get some of the bigger name black wrestlers.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? Like, if Ricochet is able to work an indie day, I'm pretty sure his price is not cheap. And I don't know, maybe he'll show love and be like, look, I like what y'all doing.
No doubt. Yeah.
Give me 500, or you know what I mean?
We'll work it out. We'll figure it out.
We just talked about it. We talked about Odyssey Jones. He has a safe space to go. We talk about guys like AJ Francis. He finally can find a home. If we're putting the dollars to this, and they can build the infrastructure to where this can be home for a lot of black wrestlers, a lot of black culture in wrestling. It was a great feeling, man. It was a great feeling.
No doubt. What's your next pro?
My next pro, I have to give a shout out to editing. Okay.
Man,
so
we're like this. That's literally my second pro, but go on, please.
So the editing was so good and so different from what we're used to seeing as a wrestling fan.
Right.
Initially, it was going to be a con, not the editing, but just the formatting. But then I thought, no, I don't want this to be like what I'm watching already.
Okay.
I want this to be for me. And that's what it was. That's how it came across. It wasn't any super hyper yelling. It was calm talk. You were able to digest what you're going to watch.
Right.
You were able to digest what was coming next week, who was coming next week, why they are important, and things of that nature. And the editing was on point. Typically, when you get something on YouTube, it kind of just, it is what it is. Sometimes that editing was top notch. I actually looked at the credits Once the show was over, it was like, wow,
Darius
there's a
was
lot.
one of the
Yeah,
editors, right? Main
Not
editor.
only that, but Darius just involved in a lot of things, and it seemed like he pulled together a great, solid community of people to put that together. So, shout out to whoever did the editing. Kudos to you.
Yeah, I think Darius and let me make sure, Scotty Swimba was the name that I saw.
Yep.
When it came to editing, and I think he was mainly focused on camera work. But again, I don't know the full details of their operation. But yeah, man, to echo your sentiment, I put in my notes, I said post edit was exceptional. And just to point out a few things without just repeating what you said, for sure, I said when it came to editing, take the entrances of the performers that came out. When you have frontman Ja, when he's coming out, you see his name pop up. It's a black screen, white letters, frontman Ja C. But in between the live shots of him walking, you're seeing highlights of him celebrating himself from another match. You're seeing him drop an elbow on someone, also taking a match outside the ring. So it's some kind of intensity. It's basically telling you, as the ideal first-time viewer, this is who this guy is. This is what he's about. And you should like him or you should not like him or any of that stuff. And that was a pretty cool, very simple, which is simple is always best. Keep it simple is one of the sayings that we all have grown to know. But it's simple and very effective because it lets you know who the talent is before they even lock up. Same thing with the Jet. Like they show high flying. You know what I'm saying? So it's setting the mood, it's setting the tone while you're hearing the music in the background, you're seeing them getting love from the crowd. Before those guys even wrestle, you know you have a good idea of what to expect from them. So that was awesome. I'll even say in the editing end, at the beginning, I don't know. I know we talk on the chat damn near every day, but I know that I've suggested this to you. I don't know if you saw it during the pandemic. Random Acts of Flyness. Did you ever watch that on HBO?
No, I haven't.
Okay, cool. You guys need to watch it. Listeners, check it out. It's authentically black. It really seems like Darius was a fan of something like that because it's an abstract, authentically black display. And that's the best way I can say it. It goes anywhere, everywhere, and it's just not in a box. And that's the way I describe how his editing style was. Another post edit, which was funny to me, was the random zoom ins on a couple things. Job Man said, call the people in the back, cut the music off, monkeys. So you look at the crowd got white people in there. So I'm pretty sure it was some white people like, oh,
yeah.
And then he hits you with, I can say it, but you can't.
You can't.
Yeah. And when he said it, it zoomed into him, just say like, hey, you know, just to have a lighthearted type interaction. And it was funny. And then
it's a fact though. You can't
no doubt. Oh, no doubt. But it was just simple post editing, things like that in promos. It wasn't like high level production. It was very attainable production is probably the best way or the best way I can say it.
Very watchable, very digestible.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to add on top of your point where you're talking about in between the entrances.
Yeah.
If people haven't noticed, that is a way to kind of tell the story because they're so new and nobody is building weekly episodic. So that's just a way to tell story before it gets here. And then you can see what they're about in the ring because guess what? They had a dynamic match and both of them had a dynamic showing.
Absolutely. So
again, like you said, kudos to them on that. Just wanted to add that to your point.
No, for sure. My next pro, I definitely got to give props to the vignettes. The vignettes, I think a lot of my love was on the editing end. Maybe that's because I do fucking editing also. No, the vignettes, like Kiera Hogan's edit, her vignette, beautiful. Shout out to her.
And I'm already locked in for next week's episode.
And it's 2 weeks for her. It's 2 weeks, so we aren't gonna see her next week, but we're gonna see her in 2 weeks, which is good. That's something, and we'll talk about that. That's something that a lot of these companies should be doing,
right?
But with Kiera's vignette, for example, just to talk about hers, it shows okay, the background. It was Rico Nasty. It was a Rico Nasty song, which is a perfect vibe because it's brutal, hard hitting, but at the same time, it's a woman. She she's beating people up, but twerking also. It's that balance, and that's something we don't see and accept in mainstream pro wrestling. That's something that is authentically Black. You know what I'm saying? So it was all within like 30 seconds, which is perfect. She didn't have to say a word, but you have an idea of what to expect in 2 weeks for Kiera Hogan. So my next pro, like I said, were the vignettes. Also, what is the Allfather, Darius Carter, his vignette, his promo against Jonathan Gresham. That'll be episode 2's match.
Oh man, that's gonna be amazing. I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Gresham, and he, and I hate it. A lot of people knocked his height, but he is a bona fide
he gets busy
in the ring. So that's gonna be an incredible match.
With Darius, you can hear the violins in the background. He's talking his talk, but at the same point, he's being a gentleman. While they're showing clips of him being intense, they're showing like this dude, something's off about this dude. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a first-time viewer, you have the idea who the Allfather is. He's a gentleman. He's educated. He's well-traveled. That's the character. That's the vision of him. But when it comes down to it, he's gonna get greasy with you, and he's gonna give you the business. So that's the reason why he's challenging Jonathan Gresham, and that's episode 2's match. So I'm looking forward to that. That's my pro. But you're next.
And just to add on top of that, a character like the Allfather is just like in a WWE setting, he wouldn't go nowhere with that. He would be. He has no charisma. He's not championship material. But in this space, we get it. We understand it. And if he's a champion, heel or face, we're going to understand it. It's going to make sense. So, again, kudos to him. Another pro that I had was the announce team. Keep that announce team together so they can continue to cook.
Shout out Chris Lee.
And D-Lo. They were putting the talent over like none other. It was great to hear. It wasn't super theatrical and dramatic to where it took away from the match. They were not hogging the spotlight.
Right.
And the commentary and just the whole show and theme in general for wrestling fans of all colors. This is modern Black. This is not a decade ago Black phrases, a decade ago Black apparel, and this is modern Black where we're at right now. If you want to know where we're at right now, lingo-wise, intelligence, skill-wise, in professional wrestling, you should definitely be tapping in every week because I got a feeling it is going to get better each and every single week. So the announce team, I feel like they have a great dynamic, and I hope that is the plan going forward with that specific announce team. And if it's not, it's cool.
Right.
But man,
but you like that duo. That duo for episode 1, they were on point. Yeah.
They were on point. They put the wrestlers over, and it seemed like they were just boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Everything. They made everything.
They had good rapport.
Yeah.
Very good rapport. And that's, I put in the notes. I said, shout out to the announce team, professional, knowledgeable, but also not over the top. So that was a perfect little element to add because they're help guiding you through this story. Because again, we're under the perspective of a first-time viewer.
Yeah.
And they were walking you through. They were walking you through that main event, telling you, hey, this is what's going on. This is a long traveled legend in women's Japanese wrestling. If you don't know who she is a legend.
Yep.
Like, it's that sort of thing
And
that brings it over
cut
top.
to all her major victories and
right.
major moves over the decades.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
No, they cooked on that. You got any more pros to put in? Because I got one more.
For me, it was the in-ring action.
Okay.
Great pacing on both matches. Both matches look different. I thought everybody, and this is the thing that, you know, you have problem with in WWE, AEW. At some point, these wrestlers start to be the same, but each wrestler was different. They were black. We love that. That was the only commonality. Everything after that was different. Each individual wrestler
style, all of
was
that
different. Yep.
No doubt. And just to shout out that main event once more, the story was clear. The story was something that you get behind. Aja is not a spring chicken, but she held it down because she's not only a legend, but Trish Adora, she did her thing, man. The whole story of, hey, Trish Adora is honored to be in the ring with this legend, and all she wants is that respect. They start off the match. She goes to shake her hand. I was just like, nah, you ain't getting no handshake from me. We're in the ring. Let's get it. And it translates to more and more of Trish not just idolizing this person, but now I gotta kick your ass because that's the only way I'm gonna earn your respect.
And Trish was taking it to her,
no doubt, and that's what I'm saying. So it got to that point, and then how I'm not gonna give the final or the finish, but long story short, that handshake and hug and embrace, that acknowledgement, was bigger than any victory I could say, and that was the story. So well done by those two ladies. Well done by the whole idea of that match. But my final pro I'll give you is it was extremely easy. It was easy to digest. It was 1 hour. It's an easy watch. I will push back when it comes to the pacing because I do agree with you on the sense of, hey, this is something different and we're for it. But on the front end, when it's those bumpers essentially setting up and telling the people, educating them about the promotion and what we're doing, it kind of got a little long for me. Like, we didn't really get into wrestling until like 5.5 minutes. And I don't know if I have ADD or something, but that's kind of long-winded for me. But I mean, that was one of my cons or one of my areas of improvement.
Right.
But I will also say this, it really appears like it was 3 separate bumpers locked on top of each other.
Yep.
And honestly, in my opinion, I think one of them or 2 of them would have been enough. Episode 2 put that third one in front, and then you're just getting more and more educated. But I understand the potential hassle of this is your one shot. This is episode 1. Either I'm gonna give it all. I'm gonna give it how I got it, or I'm gonna miss out on week 2. You know, that sort of thing. So I will say, despite that, I did think that the show overall, that 1 hour was easily digestible.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go ahead and get into it. We're not even calling it cons, to be real. We're calling it areas of possible improvement. For all we know, week 2, it could be fixed. You know what I'm saying? We're just looking at, we're just really talking about episode 1. So let me kick it off. Like I said, my number one area of improvement was probably the pacing of that first 10 minutes. I like it in elements. I like the first 2 segments of, you're basically giving us your mission statement and what why is it important? Black wrestling is beautiful. Like, I love that. That spoke to my soul. That makes me, as a first time viewer, say, okay, I see y'all. I hear y'all. I hear y'all. But once it gets to that point of 5.5 minutes, 6 minutes, and I haven't seen any wrestling, as a wrestling fan, you're kind of like, okay, like, you
What's
know what I'm
going on
saying?
here?
Right. So that's my first area of improvement. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, it honestly almost stopped me from watching because it was going, and I'm like, all right, get to the shits. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And I had to rewind it back because I kind of wasn't paying attention at first, and I kind of rewind it back, and then that's what made me get it. Like, oh, okay, this feels right. This feels like this is it. I don't know if they did that because it was the first episode, or will they be doing that weekly? If they do it weekly, I honestly don't mind.
Okay.
As long as when we do get to the wrestling is good.
Right.
I'm hoping, I'm trying to go out on a limb here and say maybe they were, like you said, those bumpers they were putting out because it was new, because they were trying to get people kind of to understand their mission statement and what and pick up what they were putting down. So yeah, that was one. An area improvement for me is just the performance was a talented brother. It just, he was kind of just sandwiched in a random spot. Not really sandwiched, but he was just in a random spot, like just somewhere a little bit better than where he was that first episode.
And which
talent.
guy is that? Who are you talking about?
What's the name? Was it Ludi, the rapper that performed?
Oh, Luke. Yeah. Luke. He performed at the end, and I agree. Maybe the music performance maybe should have been in the middle, but also, like we just finished talking about, that first 5.5 minutes is non-wrestling. Maybe it's like, okay, we got to space ourselves from that non-wrestling element. But that's, I definitely feel you. And speaking of music, just to skip over, I'm being all over the place. I apologize. The music was on point. Like, salute to them for the music. That their theme, Wrestling by Samurai Yola. I looked them up on Spotify, man. It's not that many people checking them out. So if you're a listener, go ahead, check them out, follow them, subscribe, and all that stuff, and support that man, because that's a dope ass song.
Yeah, and that's how infrastructure get built. You build with each other. His following grows, your following grows, and you guys are able to work and consistently do certain things by that. Sure.
My only other area of improvement, I don't think that, what's my guy's name? Bonner, Gerard Bonner. He interviewed Kevin at post match. I would have liked to see more of him and the young lady who was backstage. Like, I would like to see more of them.
Right. And where can you find them at? Like, what's their social media?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So, and again, I'm at a point where I'm nitpicking when I say something like that. Yeah, but I like Bonner's energy, his personality. I love the fact that he dapped up the Jet before he pieced out. Like, it's that kind of stuff that spoke to me. Yeah, exactly. Any other areas of improvement? Or
I really can't think of none. This has been week 1. And again, it was so refreshing for me. It was honestly hard to even really critique it, because it was like I said, it was like, yo, this is it. Like, this feels so right. This feels like your favorite 90s song in the summertime with the top down, whatever it is. It felt so
brought
good.
You to that vibe.
Yeah, it was so refreshing. And it was like, if we're going to be getting more of this, yes, take my money. And especially, man, listen, we spend thousands to go to WrestleMania. We spent thousands to go to Survivor Series, All Out and AEW, blah, blah, blah. We can get this company $500.
No doubt.
Get this company $1,000 to help get off the ground. Like, I paid $600 for a WrestleMania ticket. I can do the same for my people, as long as they continue to provide the quality that they were providing in that first episode.
No doubt.
I'm with it, man. As long as it stay quality, shirts, merch, tickets, whatever. If I gotta buy some tickets and say, hey, y'all, give them away, whatever the case may be. But man, we need to pour into this. If this if the quality is gonna continue like that, and they're gonna grow, and they're gonna continue to outpour, and create that space and that home for Black wrestlers, man, hell yeah, we can definitely pour into that.
So, what's the number one thing that has you watching episode 2? The number one thing, just one thing.
Honestly, man, just so I got my weeks mixed up because I thought it was gonna be Kiera Hogan, but
yeah.
But honestly, it was the quality and the refreshness of the show, and the wrestling is good.
Right.
Make no bones about it. Forget, the culture, all the cultural pieces that they put in there.
Right.
The wrestling is very, very good, and getting to know and explore and enjoy new and other Black wrestlers. This is going to help. And I say it, shout out to Black Wrestling Podcast. This is going to help bring that BRP 50 list to life. Because a lot of those people on there, you don't get to see that much. But now, again, this is a home. This is a place. And this is a place to build 100%.
I feel that. The number one thing that's bringing me to episode 2, I want to see the Allfather. I want to see the Allfather and Jonathan Gresham. That's gonna be one of those ones, in my opinion. And as a newer viewer of their promotion, it's hitting on these certain elements of it's bringing the wrestling, but it's bringing entertainment, it's bringing characters, and it's a nice balanced pot, and I'm all for it. But before we get out of here, Brad, it's my opinion that this show, its format, is something that I'm not going to say these other promotions need to bite, because I want to make sure that Asé Wrestling is making their own path. But I will say, with AEW, when they, I want to say, I don't know if you saw it, but maybe like a month or so ago when they were talking about, okay, Rampage is about to pull the plug, I was like, shit, why don't AEW produce a show that is heavily vignettes and promos, but have that format of 2 to 3 matches, like a studio wrestling vibe, you know what I'm saying? And I got a lot of pushback from AEW, really AEW diehards, saying, that's not what we do, da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, this is an example of bringing people back to your show on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Because they're giving you a little bit of this, a little bit of that, they're not overwhelming you on the wrestling. They're not overwhelming you on the promo. Like, it's a nice balance. So, like, you don't have to extrapolate upon what I said, but what do you think that other promotions could possibly look at Asé Wrestling and say, why weren't we thinking this the whole time?
And to your point, and what AEW fans don't get to realize is, and what Ashae does is, not everybody's going to have a storyline or get to tell a story on the mic. The best way you supplement that, like you said, is the vignettes. You get to know them through the vignettes. You get to know them through the clips of the moves. Like, damn, I like that move. That move is tighter. Damn, I like that vignette. I can't wait to check this person out. Because not everybody's going to come across interesting. Not everybody's going to have a chance to tell a weekly episodic story and things of that nature. So kudos to them on that. And yes, AEW could use that format. For me, it's
WWE
simple.
too. To be
real.
real.
And WWE as well. To me, it's simple. Pushing the Black talent as they are, as talent. If they're talented, push them. Don't suppress them. Don't have them eating pinfalls. Don't have them in catering. Give them those big time wins. That is the number one thing and number one problem with all these wrestling companies. They never give the Black wrestler that definitive big time win.
Very rare.
They'll give them the title, but when they give them the title, it's some janky shit. But when they lose it, it's clear cut, straight Brock Lesnar F5. That's it.
You know my thoughts on that one, though.
Brock Lesnar F5. It ain't no confusion about it. It ain't no interference. It ain't nothing. It's F5.
Yeah, we out of here.
And we out of here.
Let me go get my steak dinner.
Yeah. Start booking these black wrestlers like you book their white counterparts and their Spanish counterparts and things of that nature.
No doubt.
And let these guys cut authentic promos. The promos...
Corny, bro.
Yeah.
And these the presentation of talent is very few and far between. I will say MVP has more freedom, and it comes off that way, and it comes off very authentic, but others not so much. So, that is a great point. Your presentation of black talent, whether they're in or out of the ring, authentic, let them be them. And you could tell that it's some freedom when it comes to creative energy, because everything that I've read about Darius, it seems like he's a very creative, intellectual guy. I don't see that kind of person hindering other people's creative juices. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And then again, he's just going to make sure that it's authentic. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the biggest takeaway. It's like a safe space, like WWE is a safe space for predominant white culture, right? You have the elements of rock. You have the elements of, like I said, WWE draws a lot of their, not necessarily their booking, but a lot of their characters from white pop culture, Game of Thrones, Happy Days, different throughout the years. They had a bunch of different stuff to, make the white wrestler look cool, make us like the white wrestler, right? For so long,
right.
It's to a point where if you love wrestling, even if it's not a lot of black wrestlers, you're like, all right, fuck it. I like Macho Man. All right, fuck it. I like Bret Hart. You know what I'm saying?
Doubt.
Because Coco Beware wasn't made a big deal. You got a guy named Bad News Brown. He wasn't bad news. He used
to get bad news.
Yeah, he used to get bad news. So
he used to talk his talk, though. So
yeah, no, for sure, most definitely. But man, this is authentic. I love it. Yeah.
We'll be tuned in next Thursday, or this Thursday. We'll definitely be tuned in.
So black wrestling fans, what we got to do, we got to continue to uplift it. We got to continue to share, and we have to continue to support. We have to support with our dollars now.
No
That's
doubt.
going to be the biggest part, because they need to keep the lights on. I'm pretty sure whatever they're doing, they're probably having to pay a little bit more than what some of their other counterparts have to pay, and the talent wise have to pay. And we want the black talent that comes in to be compensated so they can continue to come back.
No doubt.
So we can get some of the bigger black names.
That's a fact.
I mean, it's here now, and it seems like it's going to be here to stay. And long as it's here, like I said, I'm here. So, if it's on Thursday, we'll be back Monday.
No doubt. Shout out Darius. Definitely shout out to him. Shout out to all the performers, that creative team, and anybody that worked that episode, whether it was behind the camera or in front. We enjoyed it. We loved episode 1. Definitely gotta give y'all props. Listeners, I will leave a link in the episode description of episode 1. And by the time you get this, episode 2 will have just dropped. So hopefully we're able to talk about it a little bit more in the future, Brad. But before we get out of here, man, let the people know, where can they find you?
The Black Supernova at Instagram. That's where I'm at. Heroes After Dark on YouTube. My weekly comic book collecting haul group. So yeah, definitely check us out, and maybe soon, maybe you'll see me on Asé Wrestling.
No doubt.
One of these days, if not in the audience, in the ring. No, I'm just playing. I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not getting in the ring.
It ain't too late. It ain't too late.
But I just look forward to it, and hopefully, we help get them enough revenue to where they can travel and they come here to Orlando. Orlando is a hot spot for wrestling. Atlanta is a hot spot for wrestling. Chicago, New York City.
Well, they are going to have a show WrestleMania weekend in Vegas. Just so you know, they are going to have a show on WrestleMania, so that's a big jump, and shout out to them for that.
I know they're going to crush that. Yeah. We're going to sell that out. So whenever they start selling tickets, I'm letting you know right now, I'm good for some tickets, and I'll either give them away on Instagram or I'll message them and say, hey, I bought tickets, give them away, or I'll get on, what's the wrestling group? NAAW, right?
Yeah.
I'll get on there.
Shout out them. Shout out Jabari.
Anybody that's going to Vegas, free tickets on me.
Word. So and me and Lois are definitely going up North Carolina. Also, you can check Brad out here on Suplex Dinner Club.
Yeah.
Triple Coverage Podcast. It's Fantasy Football Pod. So if you're into football, that's something that we do over here also. Shout out to those guys. But listeners, thank you again for checking us out. I'm Adrian, and as the Honorable Fred Hampton used to say, peace, but only if you're willing to fight for it. Peace and blessings to y'all. Have a great week, and we're out.
Get down and get a little bit, and get a little bit of it on. You know, name it, we'll claim it. Like one rich man told another and said he had enough money to build a fence around the world 3 foot tall. Another man told him he had the money to buy it if he built it. So any wrestler want to come out with a few dirty tricks. If they want to get down that way, it's quite all right, you know. When you go to church, anybody might shout. You don't know what old good sister or brother might shout. But any wrestler that steps in that ring, he just stand a chance to get whooped. No horse has been too tough that he couldn't be rode. No brunk's been too tough that he couldn't be sold. So what I'm saying, I've had a few knots put on my head, but I guarantee you I've passed out more knots than I've received. And for IWA, as Mr. Patterson said, the fans are in for a treat. It's going to be Brother Patterson and Brother Ladd.
Hold up! You know what it is. Now listen, that's called my bars. You know nothing about that. Put him on the camera.